This edition of ESPN FC here on ESPN Plus. I'm Dan Thomas, joined by Shaka, Hislop and Craig Burley here in the studio. And if that wasn't enough, John Hutchinson and Frank LeBeuf with us as well. One has three-year-old twins, one doesn't. I think you can work out who. We'll start, shall we, in the Premier League. 30 points separate Manchester United and Liverpool at the top of the table after yesterday's win for Jurgen Klopp's side at Anfield. It's kind of a tricky one to talk about United, Craig, because we've done it so much on this show.
Yep, so let's don't.
But we... So let's go home.
Right.
One thing. You're the Glazers, yeah? One thing you can do today to start making it better.
What, in the football parlance?
Any parlance. Be it get rid of Woodward, bring in Pochettino.
Well, if I'm the Glazers and
what do you do?
I want to make money, I keep Ed Woodward in charge. If I'm the Glazers and I feel the heat from the football side of things, then I remove Ed Woodward from his role or his involvement with the football side of things completely. That's if you can't sell the club or you're not willing to sell the club to a different ownership who may structure it differently. Glazers make the decisions and Woodward's there. He's a conduit between the ownership and the football side, and he's a massive part of the problem. So if I wanted to make things better amongst the football and management and player recruitment issues, Woodward would be the first to go if it was from a football sense.
If it were me and one thing, it would be Woodward. Listen, I think as good a job as he's done in the past in raising money for Manchester United, I think Manchester United and that name, it's a pretty easy sell for anybody coming in that role. If you don't want to get rid of him wholly, if you're concerned about the commercial side, then move him back to being commercial director, whatever his previous title was, and bring somebody in to oversee the football at Manchester United. Because I think as much as Manchester United are still a big name, still a big draw, results continue to go as they have been and decline on the football side. I think that affects the commercial side of the club as well.
I understand what they're saying, Don, but is there not an argument to say, look, if we can get a quick fix going, i.e. get Pochettino in tomorrow, we're 5 points off Chelsea now, we can get a Champions League spot, maybe deal with Woodward in the summer. For immediate solutions, is that not an argument to say, get rid of Solskjaer today?
I'm just not sure what the conversations are being had at boardroom level, but it seems an absolute mess to me. It's pretty simplistic, in my opinion. You've got two options. You either bring in Pochettino or Max Allegri, and you get a world-class manager in and give him time and give him a budget and bring players in. Or you keep Ollie at the helm and you at least back him in the transfer market. I mean, how long is this Bruno Fernandes saga going to carry on? They wanted him in the summer. They're still tracking him now. The window's been open for whatever it is, 15, 16 days. They can't get the signing over the line by a couple of £1 million. If you want to go and now Marcus Rashford is injured on top of that, if you want to go and have a gutsy signing or signings, why don't you look at someone like Haaland at Dortmund, who's been through the door a week? His buyout clause, he was bought for £20 million from Salzburg. His buyout clause is only, and I say only, it's 60 million euros. Look at Raul Jimenez at Wolves. Go and buy a recognised number 9. Go and give Ollie the tools to try and succeed, because what's going to happen
Don,
if you don't?
you think Ollie's good enough? You think that this isn't his fault?
It's certainly not Ollie's fault, no. I think previous managers and the ownership and the job that the Glazers and Woodward have done over a period of time has been shoddy. I don't think it's been good enough. I think Ollie's in this position, I think, by a little bit of luck, because he is a club legend. I don't think he would have got any other job in the Premier League. But now he's got Man United, and now he's got a young squad that he's trying to work with. At least give him the tools and go and give him time. You know, these guys are top-class managers. These guys are no mugs. They know the game. Well, they can't fix Man United in one season. They are 30 points behind Liverpool. This United rebuild is going to have to happen over a period of time. Whichever way you go, it's either back the current manager now or get rid and bring Pochettino or Allegri in, but at least then back one of those two managers. So whoever it is going to need time and is going to need funds.
Speaking of funds, Frank, we know Manchester United have got them. Another option that maybe they could look at, short-term I know, but something that could help them push for a Champions League place come the end of the season, is Edison Cavani. Reports are that he's handed in a transfer request, obviously linked to Atletico Madrid, Chelsea as well. If you're Manchester United, why not just blow the bank open, give him the money for 6 months? He's your lead man. He's got experience. He could genuinely be the difference between United being in the Champions League or not next season. Is that fair?
I don't think it's fair because the prime is Cavani is a fantastic player with a fantastic spirit and he's going to change maybe something in the dressing room. But watching the game yesterday, I found the spirit of the player pretty great. Where they started the game well, they fought very hard. But football is made of details. I'm talking about Cavani first. Cavani lost his football. He didn't play for like 6 months. I saw him coming for like 2-3 minutes all the time, and it's like the guy doesn't know how to play anymore because he's lost his confidence. So I don't know how he's going to be in Manchester United, even if I would say love Cavani, the way he is, the way he behaves. I don't think he's going to change the destiny of Manchester United in the future month. Talking about that, football is made of details. Yesterday when I see the first goal, and when I see that Van Dijk is marked by Williams instead of Maguire, who has been paid £80+ million and is as high as Van Dijk, and he's not marking him. So football is made of sense, and when it makes sense, you have result. It doesn't make sense when you concede a goal because you put Williams marking Van Dijk and you leave Maguire completely free to attack the ball, whatever it is. I don't understand that kind of thing. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is guilty for that. Of course, he's not guilty for everything because we can see that the problem is lasting for like a decade almost. So it's a big problem. Manchester United is not at his rank. It's not fair to say that 30 points is okay. It's not okay. Something has to be changed in and outside the field. And I'm not sure because your question was about Cavani. Cavani can change everything. I'm pretty sure no. You have to buy somebody in almost every lines.
Well, part of the reason for that, and we could argue about it till the cows come home about man marking and zonal marking, was Maguire and the other centre halves. And the other defenders were on the 6-yard line zonal marking, and I think, you know, I'm not a huge fan of it. I've done it. We've done. Most of the people that have played have done both sides of the defensive structure. I prefer man marking because that gives you responsibility. But I think from what they were trying to do was they were trying to block the runs of Van Dijk. Now clearly, the difference in size was a problem there, and that once the block didn't happen, that meant Van Dijk was getting a run on 2 static defenders, which is a big problem for any zonal defence, for starters. The other thing is, to go back to Don's point on Erling Haaland, was I understand that Solskjaer sat with Erling Haaland without the agent, by the way, and had a private conversation and was pretty much told by the player he was coming to Man United. And the player himself chose to go a different route. Now, that's his choice, and I think it's actually a good choice for him for a learning curve going to Germany. There's not a great deal Solskjaer can do about that, in all fairness to him. The Jimenez one, I mean, I could see that, you know, being a big plus for United because he's a good player, but I think Wolves will be reticent to sell him. They're going to have to do something short term, which is against the grain of what they said they're going to do. If we're talking about a Cavani or somebody to come in and fill a void, they've said, we're going youth, we're going younger players. That would go against the grain. The other side of the coin is about the management. Excuse me, is the Rashford situation. They're now saying Marcus Rashford was struggling with his back well before the Wolves game. He was then, and I get the FA Cup's important, but it's not as important having as your most informed player fit and available. He then puts him on the bench for the Wolves game, brings him on, he gets injured, now he's out for God knows how long. That's poor management.
To that point, though, or to your initial question, would you have Edinson Cavani? No, listen, I understand there are other clubs, Atleti and Chelsea interested. And in all honesty, if I'm Edinson Cavani, those two probably are more attractive to me right now. But if you're Manchester United and Edinson Cavani is available, you go after him, especially with Rashford being out for, 6 weeks, they're saying now. You need goals, you need somebody playing through the middle. But more importantly, I think Manchester United are in desperate need of characters, of players with personality and experience.
But
and
what Frank said's a concern, isn't it?
Yes.
But there are other players.
The thing for me with Manchester United, and my big concern around them is they don't have those huge personalities. Now, it's one thing to say we only recruit in youth because that's how we build in the club. When you have a Sir Alex Ferguson on the sidelines, when you have Roy Keane in your dressing room, it's a totally different when it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is your manager and there's no real strong personalities in that dressing room outside of Paul Pogba. And listen, he's coming for as much criticism as anybody. That's where I feel that United have to break this little bit of a mold that they're enjoying or insisting on and getting that ilk of player in.
Listen, just quickly. I don't want to go down the Solskjaer line again personally because I've been down it 100 times. Don's right. He wouldn't have got another job at another Premier League club, right? Forget all that. He's there, right? And if they don't remove him, he's there till the summer at least. If this board, if this club don't do the right thing in January, they're a disgrace. And I tell you why.
What's the right thing?
The right thing is at least giving them enough tools within that squad, even if it's just short term, to get in the top four. And I tell you why. And I tell you why it would be a disgrace. They're not 15 points off the top four. Chelsea are flagging a little bit, may do some business. Yeah. Tottenham are flagging. Arsenal are hopeless. Sheffield United will probably fall away. The only other team really that's up there is Wolves. And Wolves have got every chance of getting in that top four. But with a 5-point deficit, Dan, if they don't... And as I say, I repeat, I don't think Solskjaer should be there, but he is. If they don't go out and say, right, this is gettable, right, and then we can make decisions. But this is gettable. We're not going to replace you, but we're going to give you the best chance to get in that top four because the rest of the chasing pack are not very good. And Chelsea are under pressure. They either do that or they sit back and say, well, maybe we just go with what we've got and see what happens. Man United are better than that.
The latest edition of the Gav and Jules podcast drops today. Be sure to check it out over on the website. Mo Salah hasn't quite been able to replicate his goal-scoring form from his first season. Used this up to 21-22 games, 17 goals in 22 games, compared to just 11 so far this season in 19 matches that he featured in. But a big goal again yesterday. Yeah, he continues to frustrate.
The goal he scored in the Champions League against Salzburg when he was almost at the byline on his weaker right foot and he found a ridiculous angle to put it in. And then the performance at the weekend where, again, he scored a brilliant goal, but his sort of link-up play hasn't been as good. And it's the little things that drive you crazy, where probably Stevie's coming from, where when Mo Salah gets hold of the ball, he has like a 5-yard or a 10-yard pass, and he doesn't complete the pass. And you think this is should be routine for any sort of player, never mind someone like Mo Salah. But then he goes and scores the goal, and he just looks brilliant when he's scoring goals. But then the little things just drive you crazy. So I know exactly where Stevie's coming from.
There's no human should be subjected to seeing him in his bed being frustrated, no, rolling over on vanilla ice cream and crisps all over the sheets. It's not a pretty sight. Let me tell you how fickle Nicol is. If Mo Salah walked in here with a shepherd's pie, all would be forgiven. As long as it didn't have corn in it, all would be forgiven. But I can understand.
And Liverpool have dropped 2 points all season.
I understand where he's coming from.
Because the most incredible things, and then you expect him to be able to do that with a certain level of consistency, but he doesn't, and he's kind of up and down. And I remember Klopp having to speak about this last season, and he said, I'm sticking with Mo Salah because he can produce the moments of magic. So you take the frustration, but he's going to deliver when you need him most. And he continues to do that. As long as he continues to do that, I guarantee Klopp is going to stick with him.
I think everyone involved from a Liverpool perspective, though, would have preferred that goal to have been the one that came off his heel.
Because, just to relax.
Yeah, because it did get really nervous for Liverpool when, United pushed a little bit. So I think those are the moments where, that would be less frustrating for Stevie and others if he could just tidy it up a little bit at times.
Maybe watch a game out of your bed as well, if you're Stevie. Well, it would be nice for everyone. Extra Time is an interesting one. Be sure to check out over on our YouTube channel. What do we talk about? Frank's birthday.
Frank's acting.
On Monday night actually lifts them off the bottom of the table for now. Meanwhile, for Atalanta, they are 3 points adrift of Roma. A big shock, Don.
Didn't see that one coming. Gasparini's men, when they take the lead, they normally get the job done. I mean, yes, they are licking goals for fun, Atalanta, but the top 4 races on. And this is at the point of the season now where Juve just start to sort of go away and leave everyone behind. But I'm not ruling out...
Dybala floating around them recently, and certainly at the weekend, it was Aaron Ramsey playing behind, and you've got Dybala and Ronaldo. And he's not having to do any leg work out wide. So forget all that. Let other people do that. So they've found a good balance. Into a bad result away at Lecce.
Yeah.
But they will recruit. He's adamant they're going to recruit, and they will need to. But I agree with Don. I think there is definitely 3 teams in the hunt for sure.
I think this is what Serie A needed. Those 3 teams. I think Lazio will keep pace, as will Inter Milan.
Really, Shaq? You can't imagine Juve just kind of putting the...
Listen, I still think Juve are going to go on and win it, but I think it'll be closer than maybe we think right now, especially with the Champions League to come and all that means for Juventus.
If you're Inter, how hard would you push for Christian Eriksen to get him in January, to give you that special edge?
Yeah, I would push hard for it because he needs a change, and I think Conte needs another player that can give him a different dimension. Particularly with that front two.
Yeah.
With Martinez and Lukaku, if you got another creative player behind, that's only going to help.
Just a reminder, Italian football continues here. And we will be back tomorrow. Our focus very much on Chelsea against Arsenal. Be sure to join us. Coppa Italia for you this week. Tomorrow, what a game. Napoli taking on Lazio. That's live here on Plus at 2:45 against Levante. Then Ibiza take on Barcelona. Girona against Villarreal. Union Stars against Real Madrid. And on Thursday, it's Cocho Leones taking on Atletico Madrid. All of those games live here on Plus. Full programme of Premier League matches over the next 72 hours. The big one tomorrow, Chelsea against Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. As we focus on Chelsea, because it really has been quite the roller coaster for Frank Lampard's side over the last few weeks. They just can't get any sort of consistency going. Frank Leboeuf, let's start with you as a former Chelsea man. How concerned are you with their form of late?
I'm not that too much concerned about the fact that Chelsea has no consistency. Because of what happened last summer, the fact that they couldn't get any new player. Frank Lampard, with a young coach, has brought many young players in the squad. And of course, you're going to find an experience in that matter. And for me, it's just normal that you see after the Boxing Day that player has very experienced and top world players. Otherwise, he's very young. James, Mount, Pulisic, Abraham, Hudson-Odoi, and some others. So it's just normal to see Chelsea struggling a little bit at some point. But I think it's still, for me, a positive season and a good season from Frank Lampard and the players.
Well, it depends, I suppose, on how it all ends, isn't it? Because as much as he's garnered so much good grace considering the start of the season, you're in a position now where really Champions League has to be your goal, considering as well what's going on behind you with United and Spurs and Arsenal and all that mess, which we talked about before. You want top 4. I understand he's done well, but come on, you need to get over the line.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good to see that Frank's being optimistic, and rightly so. But at the same time, I think Frank, out of all the managers, I think he'll be the frustrated one. Listen, Arsenal are going to need a complete rebuild. United, as we said, are way off. And I think Frank will be frustrated because the losses at the Bridge, the losses against West Ham, Southampton, Bournemouth, the loss against Newcastle last week at St James's Park, this team could be sitting in second. They could be well clear and nailed on for top 4. So Frank will probably be a little bit frustrated because, Frank Lampard I'm talking about, he'll be frustrated because he'll be looking what's behind him. And he'll be thinking, if we're this inconsistent and all of a sudden if Spurs or United or Wolves can put a really good run together, we might be then in danger of missing out on top 4. So that'll be a real concern. I do happen to fancy them against Arsenal at home. It's a little bit of a contradiction, I know, but Arsenal are not in great form under Nicol Arteta. Only 1 win in 5. They look very flaky, leaking goals for fun. And I think this might be the ideal game for Chelsea. The last thing they would have needed was a tricky tie against someone that's going to sit in. And that's where they've struggled. They need more goals from wide areas. So I think this type of game, when Arsenal are going to come at them, actually might suit Chelsea.
Go on, Frank, quickly.
Yeah, just want to answer to Don. Of course, it's frustrating, and of course, Frank Lampard can be, and he could have been better. But again, when you see, when we talked, we can talk about Manchester United, and we did a lot of time in every show that we do. When you see Arsenal, as you said, struggling, you can wonder, if it's not something positive. Don't forget that Chelsea is still in the Champions League. So it means a lot, with the young and experienced players. Achieving what Frank Lampard is doing right now is quite of something for me. And I think we try to demean what he's doing and what the player is doing. And we can't ask too much to a team who overall doesn't know what is the biggest level.
Yeah, but
I think I agree, Frank. But at the same time, when you look at the squads that are going for the top four and take Man City and Liverpool out the equation, Chelsea have got the best squad. I know they're young, but they've still got, in my opinion, the best squad out of all the big teams that are trying to get in the top four. We mentioned the goalkeeper who's not in great form. They've got good defenders. Reece James is a very promising player. Antonio Rudiger is one of the best centre-halves, in my opinion, in the league. Then you go into midfield and we talk about Kante and Kovacic and Jorginho. They've got the talent. I know Frank's looking for someone that's going to score them goals because Willian hasn't got too many. It's a shame that Pulisic's been injured, but they're looking for more from Hudson-Odoi, more from Pedro, who hasn't started too many games. So I know he's quite happy with the front men that he's got. Yes, they'd love to bring in a world-class striker, of course, but I know that he's looking from goals in a wide area.
We've got to bring it in the studio. Call him Lampard. I know he's your BFF, but it gets all confusing when you're like Frank LeBeuf.
Oh, I know. Well,
so many Franks.
Frank was just sat there with a glass of wine off camera, and Don was talking about.
We haven't got too much time.
Well, I don't care.
Chelsea Arsenal.
Tough. We'll just stay on air as long as we want.
Oh, we don't want to do that.
At the end of the day, whether we can move the break. At the end of the day, whether we sit here and talk about Solskjaer till the cows come home, and I know it's different because Chelsea had a transfer ban and they lost Eden Hazard, but let's not cry about all that stuff. We talk about Solskjaer with his injuries and his job. Frank Lampard cannot escape scrutiny if Chelsea self-destruct and are overtaken by this horrible United side or Wolves or maybe even Tottenham come in with a late run. So we cannot judge and sit here and say Solskjaer's not doing this, this and this. If Frank Lampard doesn't get them in the top four from the position that we're in, then I'm afraid scrutiny is going to have to come his way.
Who wins tomorrow, Shaq?
Chelsea.
To catch up with more of Shaka Hislop's fascinating musings, you can... Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much for your tweets.
Come on, hurry up. Frank's falling asleep.
Frank's falling asleep. Don is here. Frank as well. Frank, it's your birthday on Wednesday. How will you be celebrating?
Just a nice dinner tomorrow with my kids because I'm going to be on stage the 22nd for my birthday.
On stage where, Frank?
In the east of France. You don't know the city. It's a very small city, but it's going to be packed, 700 people, so it's going to be fun.
Oh, fantastic.
What are you doing this time?
Well, I'm in the play right now. I'm in the play. And
so what are you playing?
What I play. I played an expert on art, on paintings, and I tried to be nice to a friend, but in fact I'm not. I'm stealing his money.
Oh, is that the poster behind you? Is that advertising it, Frank? The one that we
yes, exactly.
There you go. No, other side.
Yes.
There you go.
That's
Yep.
Yeah, here.
That's your
Although I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, terrible.
Right. Well, somewhere there. Yeah.
Frank, I know.
You got it.
I know in France at the moment there has been a real conveyor belt of talent on the football field. Is there a dearth of good actors or something in France? I mean, is there a problem? Are they on strike? I mean, what's happening?
Everybody's on strike in France, but me. So I'm the good actor you are looking for.
So by default, you just get the jobs.
Oh, goodness.
Can you imagine you're an actor in France? It's a bit like being...
Right, careful, here we go.
No, but if you're an actor in France, you've been an actor, then you come in and LeBouf just swans in off the football field quite a few years ago, I would say, and takes that job.
Yeah. Do other actors hate you, Frank, because you used to be a footballer and you're not a real actor?
Not a real actor.
I think it's like you need a blood, like a royal blood, to be an actor. But I don't care because what I do, I produce my own play. I I even direct my own play, and it's a success because we have lots of performances to do. So it's annoying for them, but I don't care. I never thought about the other when I do something. I just go straight forward, do what I want with pleasure, and that's it. So yeah, maybe one day I'm going to produce a movie. I'm going to put myself in, and that's it. Bye bye, guys.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait for your Oscar acceptance speech. I don't care what you think, all you haters.
I hope it's Ricky Gervais that's doing the ceremony.
Craig, have you restarted your sports programme after your cold at the beginning of the year? Oh.
What's the sports programme?
I think that is staring at a towel while you go on the CrossFit.
Yeah, tentatively. Yeah.
How's it going so far?
All right, yeah.
Don, do you think that Maguire deserves the United...
I'll be like as I told you during the programme, it didn't come out quite the way I intended, but I'll be looking like Mo Salah shortly.
Good. You growing your hair?
Yeah.
That's the only way you're ever going to look like Mo Salah. Do you think that Maguire deserved the United captaincy over De Gea, Don?
Yeah, I think so. He's got it by default, hasn't he? But he's the record signing. He is a bit of a leader. He's not really a character, but he tries to lead by example. It's a difficult one. I mean, De Gea's not in exactly great form, so I think Maguire's probably got it by default.
De Gea all right, Shaq?
Yeah, he's fine.
Has he passed it?
Nah.
Huh?
Past what?
Being Manchester United's #1 choice goalkeeper.
Well, it's not past that. I don't think he'll rediscover the form that he enjoyed, 3 years ago? But still a very good goalie in the Premier League.
Who's the better player? I'm going to go to you, Don, I reckon. Martinelli or Greenwood?
Ooh, good question. Wow, that is a good question. I'd probably lean towards Martinelli. I think he's got something about him. I know Greenwood looks like a fantastic young goal scorer, but Martinelli looks as though he's got a little bit of a football brain where he can operate on the left-hand side, right side, can play as a 10 as well. So I'd lean towards him, but not much in it.
Don, which team made the loudest statement for the Bundesliga title race this weekend?
Leipzig, because they just keep on winning. Unbeaten in 9. I think they've scored 34 goals in those 9 games. They're scoring over 3 every single game. They've beaten people by 3s, 4s, beaten Mainz by 8. So they're the form side.
Bayern were all right, though, weren't they?
They won 4-0 against Jurgen Klinsmann's Hertha Berlin.
Yeah. Oops.
Was there ever a moment when you first became a professional that acted as a wake-up call that you had to change in order to maintain success?
Is there ever more?
Yeah, when I played in the reserves at Portsmouth when I was only a kid, and Mickey Fillery absolutely smashed me.
Right.
He was Mickey Fillery was a very experienced player, been around a while, and I think I was about 16 or 17, and I don't think he was in the best of moods, Mickey, because he was in the reserves, and he absolutely smashed me in a tackle, and I thought, seriously, this is a man's game.
Right.
I'm going to have to
sharpen your
physically. I'm going to have to physically get with it, otherwise these guys are just going to kill you. It was a big wake-up call playing, and they've changed a lot of these things in a lot of countries, and I know England, where it's a great ground, and it's a different story, sorry, but playing in the reserves, you're playing as an inexperienced youngster with guys who are either coming back from injury or against guys who are coming back from injury, left out the team, whatever it is, or seeking a transfer, but you're playing against these pros, and it's an eye-opener. A lot of the times now, the kids have to play against other kids.
Yes.
And
well, the reserves is now under 23.
Yes, it's under 23s, and it's not really a gauge for when you get there, because I'm telling you, when you're playing these experienced players against them when you're a kid, it's a real eye-opener. Did I bore you there?
No, I was
myself,
intrigued.
actually, but I just thought I'd get the answer.
I thought you could see that. It's tough to the one incident for me that kind of stands out is when I was at Newcastle when my daughter got ill, and I think that you talk about putting things in perspective.
Right.
And at that point, I was able to just totally separate my football life from my personal life, and you recognize what's important, and that's about the only incident really that I can think of that kind of changed my approach or my outlook.
Don?
I think mine was getting released by West Ham when they paid a record fee for me because I was a little bit of a party animal, shall we say, in London. And they sold me to Sheffield United, and I loved my time at Sheffield United. And the manager then, Howard Kendall, went to then Everton, and I followed him to Everton, then got the armband. So that was the pivotal time for me when I left the Premier League, went down to the Championship with Sheffield United, but then got a lucky break by going back to Everton with Howard Kendall, and I sort of kicked on from there.
Tell us more about London, Don.
I thought it was playing under Alan Pardew, Don, that was your catalyst.
Oh, what have you done there, Craig? What have you done there?
Wait,
what have you done there? Fair to say, me and Alan never got on. Shaka knows that.
Oh.
Did you play under Alan Pardew?
I did.
Did you get on with him?
Shaka's on everybody.
Shaka, did you get on with him?
Not particularly.
Party days in London?
Yes.
Oh,
I never knew any such thing existed.
A party in London?
Yeah.
Leave off, Shaka. Leave off, Shaka. I used to organise the Christmas parties.
I don't know what you're talking about,
I used to organise
Don.
the Christmas parties.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I tell you what, I've had enough. Sitting here with you trying to make out butter wouldn't melt in your mouth.
Oh, dear.
I'm just saying.
Let's
Plus one, Shaka? No, it's okay.
What?
Frank, final question is for you. What was the best picture you saw this Oscar season?
Ooh.
I didn't see any movie.
No.
I don't watch movies. I don't have the time for that. I'm with the tour and with the play and the tour that we have. I try to spend the time with my family, so we don't see movies now. No. I saw the last movie was the movie about Queen, the Rhapsody, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, that was
the last
year.
movie.
Wow,
yeah.
Frank.
That was the last movie that I watched. I'm sorry.
The only actor that doesn't watch movies.
Fair point.
No, it doesn't mean that. No, because I'm very busy. I love movies. I watch movies at home with my wife, almost every evening. But we don't go to a cinema to see a theater to see a movie. I don't want to be in a dark room. I'm always in the dark room for theaters. We are in a dark room. Well, there is a second meaning of what I'm saying, or what?
Put the lights on.
I don't want to be in a dark room.
Sort it out. Shaq, have you seen the Oscar ones? I don't think I've seen any of them.
Why does it have to be Oscar?
Because that's what they asked.
Oh,
Which ones were they? I don't know what got
plenty of good
Oscars.
films.
1917.
Yeah, I want to go and see that.
Little
I
Women.
saw Hustlers on the plane out to LA.
The Irish film, was that nominated as
I haven't
well?
watched that yet. It's long, isn't it?
3.5 hours.